But look at this. This is looking rather bloody sexy. Look at that, bees everywhere, every single one looking great. So just got off the Portsmouth to St Malo ferry this morning. I've been away actually for 2 weeks, over 2 weeks. I left on Saturday 2 weeks ago, or Friday 2 weeks ago. Took the overnight ferry from Caen to Portsmouth, drove to Bridgewater in Devon, where I gave a talk to some beekeepers on a beekeeper study day for Southern District beekeepers. It was really, really good. Great study day for them. I was able to give some context on Asian hornet. And then after that, I'd been away in the depths of Wales for a couple of weeks, having a complete break. And I visited a beekeeper there who asked me if I could come and help, and spent a lot of time, went through stuff, did frames, did apiary work, built sink stands. We did everything we could to set up, and basically it was like a busman's holiday. So I had a really, really terrific time, and we had a lot of laughs. We did loads of amazing walks, and that was like beautiful to be away. And I've come back to the reality that as much as I really needed to get a break, we are pushing forward here, and next week we have temperatures of 17 degrees. I mean, even the grass here, I know it doesn't look much, but the grass is already pushing. You can see, and on the land there. So I mean, just me seeing that, and all the weeds in the driveway are starting to come up, so I've got to work on them as well. I mean, instantly, by having 2 weeks off, it's put me completely out of sync. I've got to just work morning, noon and night now to catch up with this. But I'm really pleased that I went away. It was a brilliant break. It's just, you know, that kind of time to be able to go walking in the woods and experience that as something different, just as completely new, was just absolutely excellent. So I was really, really pleased. And I've just seen here that I've got a roof blown off. Hopefully the bees are right underneath. Let's have a look. This is just at my house, so God knows what it's going to be like the rest of the place. See how these are doing. They're all alive. Look at that lovely tight cluster. Look at that. Beautiful. Let's get their roof back on. There it is. ASAP. They're all right though. See what happens when you go away for a little while. It all goes pear-shaped. But we had a really, really big blow here yesterday, northerly wind, which we don't usually have. I've actually got some water that's blown in under the shed, which I wasn't expecting. But it just highlights what can happen until you have the weather from that end. So I've got some water that's blown in here, but that will just brush out. It's a little slight dip area we get occasionally, and not a problem. That will just brush out and dry off, but just highlights things you don't know until it happens. So this shed, the floor is now cured. Look at that. So now I can quite comfortably put a pallet on this. I can move everything I need to from there to here, and I can work away in here now with more space and get the pallet racking up this week, get the roof finished on top of the bottom barn, and all that stuff done. But that's just part of it. While I've been away, it's become apparent that It's going to take a little bit longer to finish than I thought, because basically to get the maximum from my grant system over here, I have the possibility of 2 grants in 7 years as a farmer over here. So I'm not an idiot, as I'd like to think I'm not an idiot. If I was to try and extract in here this year, it's maybe possible, but it's so complicated on many levels, okay? So I'm going to put in here, as you know, a mezzanine, which will be above all that back bit there. Underneath the mezzanine goes the division of the rooms, the insulated rooms at the back for the warming room. Then we've got the electrical work, and we've got the heat pump to go in, and we've got the epoxy on the floor. So that will be a proper sealed environment for extraction. So it'll be really high spec rooms that will be good. But the problem is, I've got a certain amount of money to pay for that, and I've got quotes in already, so I know that it's completely possible. But if I do the work now and just pay the money out, I can't get a grant on it. I've got to apply for the grant. So to apply for the grant, you've got to get all the quotes in, which I'm still waiting for. I keep hassling people. Then you get someone to help you fill in the forms, because the grant forms are enormous and it's a lot of red tape. Then those forms go off to the central government here. They then agree or disagree with them, but one way or the other, it's worth waiting, because I might get 30% back on everything I spend on this. So if I don't go for that grant, it's going to empty everything I have to finish the building, and then no running money if something breaks down or if I have a problem. That's just business. So it's in my interest to not try and do anything too quick until the building's done properly and I can get the right amount of money back. Because if it's there, you've got to take it. That's just how it works. On the other hand, I've got my extraction line ready to go back into its place now, which could be put in. But if I do that, I need electricity, and the temporary electricity supply I've got hasn't even run the underfloor heating system properly. It's had the pump going, but it's not been putting the heat in. It should do, because I'm on a temporary supply. Okay, so now you're going to ask me, why don't I get my electricity supply connected? Well, I can't get the electricity supply connected because in France they have a certificate called a consuel. And a consuel is a certificate that an inspector will come in and give you before you can connect up with the EDF or whoever you use. We use EDF here because it's just like the easiest thing. Not necessarily the cheapest, but there's not much choice anyway, so we stick with them. Long story short, I can't get the consuel, the certificate, even if I get the inspector in and try. He won't give me the certificate until all the main rooms are built and most of the electrical system is in. And then I could get connected. Alternatively, I could hire a big 3-phase generator that will give me enough power to run my extraction line when I extract this spring. But then what I'd be doing is I'd get everything dirty and shitty and trying to extract honey in a non-sealed room that I really should have a room that's sealed like the veranda is, like my conservatory is. So it makes total sense to me just to carry on extracting in that room at home, just to extract in there. And then the honey can be stored in here because it's ready to take it as a storage temporarily. So that's my point, is that as much as I was super like, that's the last year I'm ever extracting in here, blah, 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 reality kicks in when this isn't finished. But if I wait and extract in the veranda, that also means that when I am ready to start the work this summer, they can just get on with it. And everything will be ready then this autumn, winter, for next spring. So I know it seems a big disappointment, and I know loads of people were saying, I can't wait to see a machine running. I will probably get the machine up and running anyway, just to put it in its place, and then we can carry on from there, because I want to get it in place, because it moves it out of the way. The machine can come over now, be bolted down to the floor, and I can connect it. So I can run individual parts on the machine. There's just not enough power to run it completely. It draws something like 32 amps. And I've only got like, enough to open and close the doors, enough to run a couple of speakers, enough to not even boil a kettle, to run a 2,000 watt light. I'm at the end of the line that comes from my house, that goes through our holiday let, that goes into my shed, that goes down to where the old swimming pool was, that goes under the road, then it goes down through the veg patch and then comes to here. So you see, it's such a temporary supply. It's fine and it gets me out of a lot of issues, but it's just not enough. So the reality is, it's actually going to be far better to use what I've got already, just to knock it out in there. And in the worst case scenario, or in the best case scenario, if I get things done quick enough, I may be able to extract in here in the summer. But if I leave this area ready and use it for all the other work, with the pallet racking up, with everything in place, and the facility here, apart from the extraction, I still get the benefit of this place. So unfortunately, that is the way it's looking at the moment. But I'm still growing all the time, because all the time I'm putting my work into getting the best quotes, to getting everything organized for that time. And it'll still be done in less than 2 years. It's only a year now that we first got the building up. A year ago, this building had literally just been finished and there was nothing in it. I hadn't had anything done, no shelving, hadn't been working in it, hadn't got the underfloor heating in it, hadn't got all the stuff worked out that I need, hadn't done all that communication with plumbers, with everything, with electricians, with other builders, with what I'm fitting this out with. So to me, because this floor is now usable, there's that as well. And in the meantime, I can save myself money by running all the pipes in ready. We've got conduits in to take hot and cold water. All that can be got ready as well, and it can be all worked out. It is a big shame, but at the end of the day, this, for example, my honey super lift is in, the cables are in. There's so many things I've done on this journey already that are going to be a huge help to me now. So, you know, just getting this done gives another third of the floor area, another third. And that's massive. That gives me huge more area to store stuff, to move stuff into, to keep it out of the way. So what am I doing this week? Right, so next week, we're having temperatures of maybe 17 degrees. I mentioned that before. That's a complete frightmare to me. For very early March. It's way too early and we're bound to get it cold. But what I might well do is do a very quick look at a lot of my hives and see how they're doing. I know a lot of them are really good. You saw that colony just now. They're all nice and strong. I'm really, really pleased. So it's looking great. Secondly, I've got to prepare loads and loads of frames. Now I've got some frames, and the ones I stupidly left outside here 2 days ago, there's still some there, they're okay. 3 boxes of them got strewn over the slab here, and I was looking on the cameras, and my son hadn't been down and around the place for a couple of days because there's no need to, and basically they were blown everywhere here and a lot of them wrecked. But that's just my fault. It just shows you that weather you can get, so always be prepared in the worst case scenario. But I am now gonna have to work my socks off to get a load of frames ready, so I can just go boom, boom, boom. I have got all those frames that I got drawn up last autumn, if you remember. They're full of honey, so that's what I'm going to use. They're there. I'm going to use those to take to apiaries probably tomorrow to check my nukes, and they can have frames of honey if they need it. And that's the thing, because I want to make sure that they've got plenty of feed, because don't forget, any colony that is flying, and there's a lot of bees flying, is only flying on last year's sugars. There's nothing coming in. It's possible, if we hit 17 degrees, there could be some nectar coming in this week. It's possible, but I think it's unlikely. So I'm super happy to be back, but I'm also super rested, recharged to get on with stuff here. It was just an amazing trip. I was so lucky to be able to get away for 2 weeks for the first time ever. My youngest son is now 18. He was able to help me out, look after my other son who's autistic, and I was able to spend an extra couple of days out having to rush back. So we went to the beekeeping show last Saturday. I didn't say that. That was absolutely brilliant. That was in Telford in the United Kingdom, in the Midlands. Really, really good show. Met loads of people, had a great time. It was exhausting, like every beekeeping event is, and it went really well though, because I'm still in the old car. I did 1,700 odd kilometers while I was over in Wales. We did great trips, as I said, looking around, checking out stuff. But such a relief that we're all back safe and sound after what also was a fantastic trip. So I'm going to be making frames. I'm going to be finishing the roof down the bottom on that shed. You can just see down there, sticking out there. That's got to be finished this week as well. There's just like a bucket loads of stuff to do. So better get on with it. We've got to even maybe give the grass a quick whiz over soon as well, because that's growing like mad. But good to be back, good to be home. Everything looks great, all safe and sound, apart from a few things blown over. They needed cleaning out anyway, so it looks like the rain's done that. But you can see we've had a gust of wind or two, but that's just other stuff to be sorted out. And what I'm going to do is, as I make up frames, for example, we're going to paint those hives up. We're going to give them a clean, and the frames I make up this week will go into those hives for transfers, because I'm going to start transferring within 2 or 3 weeks if the hives are up to it. I have to get that done early this year. And it just seems that year on year we're getting earlier and earlier. So let's go and have a look at this rapeseed just across the other side. I've got something interesting to show you. And this is what the French do when they try and deal with flea beetle. Because what they do is they sow rapeseed, and within the rapeseed they sow another variety of rape or canola, which it flowers earlier. Now you see that's just coming into flower now, and what that does, it tricks the flea beetle into going into those flowers, but it doesn't affect the main crop. So what it does, it's every year the flea beetle that's in the soil becomes less and less. So these flowers that are coming out now trick that flea beetle. They do their life cycle and they finish, and they basically don't do very well. And that's one of the things. But it's frightening, this, because what you can see is a lot more stems on that rapeseed that are looking like they're coming into flower way too early. I mean, we're only February still. We are not March yet. But I said, if we have 17 degrees, it's going to be, it could be a good year, it could be a disaster. It could just trip everything over the wrong way and make it all a mess. I just don't know the way forward at the moment, but seeing that field of rapeseed there makes me extremely worried that it's all a bit of a mess. So that is just an update for you. I know there's no beekeeping in, but you'll see beekeeping within the next few days. I'm going to be out checking hives, checking colonies, feeding nukes, because I know they're going to need it. And when I was away in the UK, I bought some bee feed, some supplementary one, just because it was there at the show, and it was really good to just pick that up hassle free. I've got some other one here that I've had for a while, Apifonda, which I'm going to give bees as well. I've got no stored syrup at the moment. I'm out of it, apart from a few small containers. So everything is all like going to pivot the next few months on how much nectar we get and don't get, and how much feed we need to give until that first nectar comes in. Better get on. Too much to do. I've got to get stuff for the house first. I've got to go shopping today, which I will hate because it's such a waste of time shopping. We call a complete ball ache because it costs money and it just goes again afterwards after you bought it. But anyway, it's got to be done. So I better get on here. Well, I've come up to the nuke yard because there's a chink in the weather and everything is flying like crazy. This is not how you look after bees, okay? They all should be on a rack, they all should be moved, but they're all alive. That's what I like to see. Those two were dead anyway, so I haven't moved those, but the rest are looking pretty good. Loads of bees, looking great. That was the late ones I did. Let's go down here. All I can see is a cloud of bees. And I'm super happy. This is looking great. These are flying. There's a couple I know they're dead in there, but they're still flying well, but it's cloudier here. But this is where the majority are, and just look at them go. I brought some fondant with me. I'm going to start going through some. If there's any light ones, I'll feed them. Woohoo! Maybe that one's a dead out, and it is, because that's why I took the top off. Look at this. I am so excited to see this, I tell you. Super excited. Well, I've got a lot of work to do in a very short space of time. Wow. Bees, 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 boxes of bees. Woohoo! So this roof is off. That's because that's a dead out. I didn't, you see there's a queen cell in there. One of the late ones I didn't clean out. There's the dead cluster. but that's fine. That's why the roof's here. And I knew that one was dead before. This is just mad. This is the site I dreamt of seeing when I made all these nukes up last year. There's going to be one or two amongst here that aren't good, for sure. Maybe that one there. But we've just had a flight and everything looks alive. Unbelievably good. Unbelievably exciting for me to see everything flying universally, clusters of bees on the front. Maybe that one's a weak one, but I mean, wow. So a great start to be back. What a great day to come back and see all this. I'm going to bring my strimmer and do this apiary as well. So these ones are just on the ground, and I should have moved these last autumn, but I've moved them back to give them space. They haven't had any air breathing space at the rear of the boxes because it's underneath their vent, and I'm a bit annoyed about that, but they all look alive. You know, this is the thing. Those look better behind, but I'm going to bring some racking with me tomorrow, and I'm going to move them all forward onto a rack the same as this. The idea was originally I was going to move these production hives here and move them to somewhere where I had more racking. Some nice pollen going in there. Lovely looking bees. But I never got it done. And you can see the higher up we are, where there's more sun, the more activity. But this is just absolutely spanking. Oops. See, any water the bees are after, look, they're drowning, I'm afraid. So let's tip this out and cover that over again with the feeder. So this is what I've got to do. It's getting all your stuff cleared out. It doesn't matter about a few bees dying at this time of the year. It's not ideal, obviously, but if you've got this many bees in the spring, I have to say, you've done a reasonable job so far. But now we've got to remember, okay, so we are only the last week of February. Now, technically, if we have no warm weather that's warm enough to bring in nectar, and it's not likely at all, but we may hit 17 next week. If we get that, there may be a little bit of nectar coming in. But the buck stops with the fact that all these bees are flying on last year's honey still, last year's reserves, last year's carbohydrate. And you must never forget that. So, unless you check them all, you can lose a lot of nukes very quick, because don't forget, it's not the fact that they're burning the sugar, it's the fact that they're also brooding. And when they brood, they have to keep the brood warm. And as they start to develop more, the colonies get bigger, they consume more. So it's a vicious circle. So you have to keep going until you see nectar coming in. But I am very, very pleased with what I'm seeing. It's unlikely that they're all just a few bees. This is a sign that there's a good colony in each box. Very happy with that. Let's have a look at a few. We won't look at these big production hives because I haven't got my hive tool, but we'll peel back a few of the, just pick random ones here. We'll peel back a few of the front roofs, have a little peek inside. That's lightish, but there's still feed in it. I don't think it's huge, but there's still feed. Let me just put my veil on, just in case. So a little look in here. Not enormous, but it's a live colony with bees on 2 different frames. So this is one that I'm going to give some feed to straight away. So we've identified that. That's fine. They'll have some feed. This is the one that could be vulnerable. It's small, but it'll do absolutely fine. If it survived this far, it'll be fine. So look at the one next door. A little bit bigger. Darker bees. Not huge, again. But they're alive and they're looking good. They can have feed as well. Let's pick some over here. Look at these ones. These are, I think, are going to be bigger and stronger. Let's see. Let's pick a random one. But there's loads of bees flying in these more. Old pollen sub still there. Look at the bees at the top. They're good. Just paper left. But yeah, not bad. That's fine. That will grow well. It's good for me to see this because it shows they're not as big as I'm expecting. Check the one next door. Good. Oh, this is a really good one. Box of bees. Look at that. This is exactly what I thought. There'd be some bigger and some smaller. And they're just trying to sting me, but I've got my suit on. And I'm very pleased to see, but we've got to check the weight of this one. Not heavy. In fact, I'd say everything's going to need feed here. So we'll give that a slab of fondant and let them get on with it. I've got a bee in my suit already, and it's only the start of the season. I should perhaps zip the suit up. Might actually help a little bit. But there'll be big ones, there'll be small ones, and that's the way it goes. So don't forget, how do you deal with different sized colonies in the spring? Well, when you feel confident enough, you can take a frame of brood out, a colony that's really strong, and give it to a slightly weaker colony, and you can even up that way. But what you've got to remember is a weaker colony might not be able to take a whole frame of extra brood and keep it warm if it's low on sugar. You've got to remember that. But what I can also do is transfer the really strong ones straight away into a big hive and then get them away to a new apiary and then let the other smaller ones grow on if that was the case. So you're kind of covering yourself by dealing with the strongest first. You're removing some of the bees from the area, which is obviously a good thing. There's too many bees in this area, but I haven't got another apiary set up yet. Another thing I've got to do. But what you are doing is you're dealing with the issues as you deal with each colony. So it's all about keeping that sugar going, keeping them fed. Not too bad. They could do with more weight, but that's good enough, that one. That one's good. That one's good. That one's very good. That one's a bit light. So I've got the two end ones to make sure that they have enough food. But it's just a question of working through your colonies. And you always get this mixture. You get some big, some small. But in the end, you end up sorting it all out because the strong ones will show themselves quicker and the slightly weaker ones will just recover and be ready a little bit later on, which actually helps you. Tomorrow I'm going to come here and bring frames of honey that I harvested last autumn from the apiaries up the road, and I'm going to fill any hives, well not fill, but give them at least one frame of honey in next to the brood nest, which will give them that reserve instantly. And it saves them having to take down fondant. It saves fondant and it saves time because that's exactly the feed the bees need. But overall, as a flight goes, I'm pretty pleased to see that. It was only a very short flight. You can see most of the bees have virtually gone back in now. But they're clustered, they've got food. I'm reassured now. I just literally was at home and the bees at home went mad. I just thought I'm going to go up the road because it's only like 10 minutes away and see what they're doing. And sure enough, I get here and it's like everything is in the air. So it's all good news. It looks like, but you see the water here. I cannot drive on that. And this is what you have to do when you begin to learn your apiaries, is you just do not risk it at all in the slightest. But just here on this part, I can reverse down. That's hard standing, but I just have to miss that edge from there on and it's solid there. So I know that, so I can get the truck right down to there, to that pile of stone. And then we can load everything up, start the process, bring hives home that have got to be stacked and cleaned, and then it all starts again. As I said this morning, I've got hives that I'm going to fill with frames, because that'll do. I'm low on baskets at the moment as well. I've got to pick up some more, or maybe get a whole pallet made. And then I'll have baskets to put frames in. I'm finding that the 10 frames in one basket works really well for me, and I can store waxed frames in them really well and take 10 or 50, whatever I need, and I know exactly what I've got in the hive then. So yeah, very happy with what I've seen. As a first day back after being away, it's given me a little bit of a feeling that, yeah, you had your holiday and you got away with it. Not much you could have done here. I chatted to my neighbour and he said the weather was crap while I was away, so I feel an awful lot better as well, as you would do. Well, I've just checked all of these except the two in the middle. They're all alive and doing really well. And these, you might remember, were the very late mated nukes in August I made that I was going to struggle to get them fed up in time. So it just proves to me that it's completely possible to make late nukes if the situation presents itself and you can seize on that moment. And they're all alive. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 out of the 16 I did that were mated late last year. Made it well worth it. Those could be the nukes that saved my life, don't forget. We're all talking about this. Every single one makes the difference. And if you lose 10%, so be it, but you've still got the other 90%. Or if you lose 20%, you've still got 80%. My point is, everyone is precious, but what is there looks good. And I'm more than happy with that. So I'm going to come back tomorrow and do the other ones, as I said, with frames of honey and feed as well, and then I can relax if the weather dips. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a massive blob of pollen coming in, because if it does go warm after Monday, it's going to be literally pollen city, and then they're going to brood heavily. They're just starting now. I'll have a look at some frames tomorrow with the smoker, but I've got a sneaky suspicion that because we've had such mild weather and everything is growing like mad. I mean, look at this grass here. I mean, it's almost like, you know, the length of the grass. With my boot, it's just mental. You know, that was cut again last autumn, it was topped, and already it's away in the warm weather. Well, I've just checked all of these, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and there's 3 dead. They're not bad either. So overall, things are looking very good. Now, those dead outs were definitely dead last autumn. One of them I didn't have a mouse guard on. But it is a good thing to have a quick look. It's not the ideal conditions. They are smaller than I thought, but we have bees and we have a queen. Well, we think we have a queen, pretty sure, because if bees to survive this far into the spring, early spring, it's pretty likely you've got a colony, otherwise they would have been dead by now. So last year we had very little Asian hornet pressure, and we had good winter bees made after I caged the queens and controlled the varroa. And there's no doubt in my mind, from what I've seen today, this is all down to good varroa management, and that is still the number one thing. Good varroa management and less pressure on the colonies gives you good winter bees, and that's what you got to have. End of. The feed is all good. They're big enough on the Dadant 12 frames we have. So overall, from what I've seen today, I know this will be in most of the apiaries because we're all treated the same. So we're going to be busy this spring. It's great news. Lots of bees at the moment. I know there's a long way to go, but I'm looking at the weather thinking, this is crazy. Come and look at this. I'll just show you this goat willow. When we had the flight of bees about an hour ago, they were all on this as well. First pollen there coming out, look. There's the pollen. Just mad. Just absolutely crazy. There's not a lot, but there's enough. If they need it, they can find it. Very, very happy. All good news. A lot of cleaning up to do. Come here with my strimmer tomorrow as well. That could be here doing a day's work, to be honest. I need to get this hedge cut and down. And I need to get this grass down because I hate this long grass because it makes me think there's too much humidity. And I would be really happy to get an early cut on this. And that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, whatever you're doing, catch you again soon on this good bit of a break in the weather. Way too warm, way too much pollen coming in. But it is what it is. Take care. Speak to you again soon. Bye for now.